Hey everybody, it's Yasmin here. I am doing my 75th Facebook Live for the day. Not really, but it feels like that. I've done so many. I did a full moon. Thing. I'm just playing around with. Oh, there's my beautiful sun. I'm just playing around with filters now. It looks like it's snowing in the house. It's a bit weird. What does that do? I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, no. Let's go back. I think I'm going to go for sparkles. No, this one. There we go. See, very flattering. So how is everybody? I'm just waiting for Unity Radio to call me. They like to live dangerously over there. My show will be live in about, 5 minutes. Anybody got a question for me while we're here? Maybe, let me just do something. Let me just do something really, really quickly, sorry. Moon messages. What is it, darling? We need to close the door. We need to close the door. So much going on. I've just come to the conclusion that we are always going to be busy, aren't we? That's it. It's just like always going to be busy. Always and forever. Quiz 2020, I'm going to call it that. Shorten the URL. Let's have a look if that's going to work. I'm just making up a little short URL. Have you done my quiz yet? moonmessages.com quiz 2020. Have you done the quiz? That's what I want to know. Have you done the quiz? Have you done the quiz? We will be going in a minute. Sorry if you're wondering what the heck is going on. I'm just waiting for them to call me. I mean, unless it's a, maybe it's, yeah, no, the phone's working. Full moon eclipse today, so that's why we're all going mad. Oh, okay, so that didn't work. What about that? Oh, it's so annoying. Why is it not working? Why is nothing working? Madoffi Santa Il Maria Il Lallo. Oh, I can't get a short link for the quiz. I'll send it to you on WhatsApp. Anybody else out there work with their husband?
We need to close the door.
We need to close the door, says my husband. There we go. Let's close the door. Oh, here's Louis. Likes to live dangerously.
What's happening?
Hi, Louis.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good. Ready to go?
I got your guest info, so I'll make a call at about 10 minutes in.
Yep, brilliant. Okay, I'll get her on. I'll make it about 4:05, like I said in the email, and I'll bring her on about 4:10 or 4:15.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
Thank you. Can I hear the show, please?
Yes, we got about 3 minutes now.
Can learn to master your alphabet and your...
I'm sorry, I should have just started the video now, shouldn't I? Sorry, guys. Here, let me do a card. This is a card for everybody. If you're watching this, this card is for you, all right?
Children, then have grandchildren, and then you die.
All right.
And that's a successful life. And that's basically a big story in our world.
You see, with these filters, you don't even need anything anymore. You just put a filter on.
Something that I believe is
Yes, darling.
Quiz 2020 works.
something I believe
moonmessages.com/quiz 2020.
There's only one Z.
to put our attention
Yeah.
on what we intend to manifest and create for ourselves in our lives and attract it. That the right
Quiz
people will show up,
2020.
the right events
Well,
will
when
show
I
up,
do it,
the right
doesn't
timing
work.
will be there, and,
Oh no, it does work.
and you have that.
Okay, somebody was asking for the quiz address. I've made a short link. It's moonmessages.com/quiz 2020. Now, I can't remember how to say your name. Is it Tylane Rose? I've started chanting again, FYI. Genevieve, I look marvellous because I have a filter on. You don't even need makeup anymore. It's all so... Oh, here's the card for us. All right, who wants the card? Oh, that's why I couldn't sleep last night, of course. The full moon. Why didn't even think... Oh, expect powerful change. All right. I'm going to be on air in 2.5 nanoseconds, so...
Since 1924, Daily Word has offered inspiration and practical teachings.
Yes, moonmessages.com/quiz 2020. It's a quiz. I'll tell you about it once the show gets on the road. I'm also going to have an amazing guest on today. I've had her on before, but I don't think I've had her on here. And she's amazing. Laura Day. I'm going to have fun having her on. Here we go. Let's get her bio up. There we go. If you want to call in, please call in. I would love to speak to you. All right? I'd really love to speak to you.
Call now with your question or comment. 816-251-3555. That's 816-251-3555.
Call in. I have to tell people to call in, and then 20 people call at once, and I can't do everyone. Call in now.
This is Astrology with Yasmin.
It's me. Hey everybody, it's Yasmin Boland here. I'm an astrologer, I'm a moonologist. This show is called Astrology with Yasmin, and I would like to take your calls. Now, I'm actually broadcasting live on my Facebook page as well if you'd like to tune in and see me. It's not really what I look like. I've got a filter on there, so I look much more human than I actually do in real life. But if you'd like to call in, I was just saying before we came live on air that every week I say, call in, and no one calls in, and then all of a sudden everybody goes, oh, I'm going to try, because I say there's no one on the line, and then suddenly there's like 20 people on there and I can't take all the calls. So call in earlier, call in sooner rather than later, and I will give you the number. It's really for people in the States, but if you don't mind, if you've got free minutes overseas, like I know some people do these days, the number to dial is 816-251-3555. That is 816-251-3555. And we already have some people on the line. Good. People are starting to realise. Otherwise everyone calls at the last minute, and I can only do like 3 or 4 calls. So there we go. Good. I see you there, Joanne and Leo, and someone else who's called Wireless Caller. I will get to you. So today is a big day, astrologically speaking, and if you are like me and you couldn't sleep last night, I know why. In fact, I just realised, which is really insane, given that my whole entire life revolves around the moon, I completely forgot last night why I couldn't sleep. It was the full moon. The full moon happened, probably not very good at maths, about 7 hours ago now. And so, of course, we were all feeling it last night. So hands up if you couldn't sleep last night. I think I came downstairs at about 2 a.m. and ate some cheese because I have this belief that cheese makes me sleep. And also I took a valerian, which is a herb that you can take if you can't sleep. I find it's really powerful. In fact, the first time I ever took a valerian, I thought it was a Panadol, which is like, I think what in the States you call, what do you call it? It's just that thing you take, if you've got a headache. I can't remember what you guys call it, but Panadol we call it here in England and in Australia. I thought it was a Panadol, and I usually take 2 Panadols, so I took 2. And then about half an hour later, I was just like falling asleep on the couch, and I thought, what the heck did I take? And I went and I had a look, and I'd taken 2 valerian. So I know it works. It's not just like the power of positive thinking. It actually works. I couldn't sleep, and loads of people are saying on Facebook that they couldn't sleep. Well, now you know why. Hopefully we will have a better sleep today. I did a really, if I dare say so myself, a really, for me anyway, very powerful full moon ceremony I did today, yeah, Tylenol, people are saying, Panadol or Tylenol, yes, Valerian, I thought it was Tylenol. Did a very powerful, it was very powerful for me. I don't know about anyone else, but if you want to check it out, it's on Facebook. Just go to my page, Yasmin Boland, and you'll find it. I normally do my full moon events at night because I actually love getting out under the full moon and doing it at night. But for whatever reason I didn't. I scheduled it for midday today, and thousands of people signed up for it, so I thought I'd better not change the time, as I have been known to do every now and then. I'm trying to learn how to behave. And it was so powerful because I called in Ganesh. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you and say, if you want to go and have a look at it, it's on Facebook. But let's also call in Ganesh now. And something that was really powerful for me today was the fact that this is a full moon eclipse in the sign of Gemini. So number one, we are now into the eclipse season, the last eclipse season of this year. So it's a big deal. Okay. This is really the eclipse to let go of whatever you're holding on from 2020 that you want to release. And Lord knows, a lot of us are holding on to lots of stuff. I actually did something else today, and I would again encourage you to join me. It's all free. The full moon eclipse ceremony I did today is free. And I also started up my chanting again, which I think it's making me feel better already. I've been doing chanting on and off all year, but I did have a long off period. And I started doing that again, and that's with the goddess Kali. And again, if you want to find out about that, go to my Facebook page, go to the events section, and you'll see it's on there. Daily chanting Monday to Friday. So, you know, basically what we need to do is we need to use this energy that's around right now to release, to let go, to forgive, to move on. And really, I think the most important thing is to clear out our thoughts. That's the most important thing. Now, I've told everyone to call in so I can speak to you, but I also see that I have my amazing guest today, Laura Day, is on the line. And I do want to bring her on, and I know she was quite keen to take some calls with me. I think she said she was keen to take calls. If she can't, she can't, but I think she said she wanted to. So why don't I just give her a little introduction? We can get her on the line. We can talk about what she thinks about the full moon and releasing, because you know, Laura, if you're listening, it's all about letting go today. And also because it's in Gemini. Gemini is the sign of the mind. So it's about letting go of all negative thoughts that we've had this year, especially because it's an eclipse. So let me just give you a little introduction to Laura Day, who, can I say, I met on when she came on another one of my radio shows back in the day. How about that? I met her online. She's like my online date. So she is a New York Times best-selling author, Laura Day. She's spent 4 decades. I mean, I'm telling you, the woman looks like she's 30 years old. But anyway, she spent 4 decades helping individuals, organizations, and companies harness and develop their innate intuitive abilities to create profound change. Newsweek magazine calls her the $10,000 a month psychic, adding, when business people need a crystal ball, they turn to consultant Laura Day. They turn to consultant Laura Day, the intuitist. So that's a bit like the mentalist, but she's an intuitist. The Independent dubbed her something that I always call her when I'm telling my friends about her. I always say, oh my God, I met this amazing woman in New York. She's amazing. They call her the Psychic of Wall Street. That's what I call her. A-list Hollywood stars and Wall Street executives praise her ability to predict future events, including the 2008 recession, with astounding accuracy. Now, one of my absolutely all-time favorite actors, Brad Pitt, has said of Laura Day, who you're about to meet, I believe in the gut and I believe in Laura Day. And quite frankly, if it's good enough for Brad Pitt, it's good enough for me. Laura's work has helped to demystify intuition and bring it into the mainstream. In her workshops and presentations, she demonstrates the practical, verifiable, and sometimes astonishing use of intuition in the fields of business, science, medicine, and personal growth. And I can attest to the fact that I've known Laura, I think maybe now for 2 years. Her intuition is literally, I mean, I would almost say frightening, jaw-dropping. Laura has trained thousands of people and companies to use their brains, perceptions, and sixth sense to realize their goals. She's the author of six best-selling books: Practical Intuition in Love, Practical Intuition in Success, The Circle, Welcome to Your Crisis, and my personal favorite, How to Rule the World from Your Couch, because that's actually one of my ambitions in life, is to rule the world from my couch, or at least rule my world from my couch, preferably wearing my pajamas. So, Laura Day, are you on the line there, Miss Laura Day?
What a lovely intro. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks for being on the show. Laura, are you in New York right now?
I am. I'm watching a beautiful rainstorm. So perfect for a full moon eclipse.
Yeah, exactly. So, Laura, I mean, there's so much we can talk about, but tell me, what would you like to talk about today? Is there anything that you would like to discuss?
Yes, I think that there's a lot of stress right now to be positive at a time where we're required to make a lot of changes. And one of the things that scientific research on intuition has shown us is that when the group sentiment is a certain way, we all feel it individually. So, for example, during up times, when there's a lot to celebrate, we feel more up, even if we have no information about it or aren't connected physically. Intuition is really about non-locality. So we're feeling people's thoughts and feelings. And it is a very important time right now to, first of all, forgive ourselves the downtime, allow things to be a little messy. And I found one of my favorite Nietzsche quotes: one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. And I really think that is what this time is about. We are giving birth to a dancing star. But any of you who have ever given birth or seen birth, it is a bloody, messy process. And so I want to encourage people to use things like chanting, meditation, the circle, embodiment, breath, just being held if you have a partner, holding your children and friends, anything to fill yourself with you so you are not a sponge for other people's chaos. You can use your own chaos. Other people's chaos doesn't serve you. And go easy on yourself. You know, we all have down moments. I think that this is a time where people are confusing their feeling out of balance with prediction. And it's very different. I work on evidence-based prediction, and what people, a lot of the doomy stuff people are feeling now, it's not prediction. It's that there's just a whole lot of change going on. On some level, and this is a funny thing for a psychic to say, on some level, I think that prediction isn't helpful, except to help you chart your path in this moment, and that's what we should all be doing.
Yeah. So, Laura, just a second ago, you said something about, you know, hug your kids, hug your partner, do the breath work, do the meditation, so on, so that you're not a sponge for other people's fear. So can you just expand on that? Are you saying that if we fill ourselves up, then the other people's sort of feelings can't get into us? Did I understand that right?
Yes. The only psychic self-defense, I mean, I know there's all this stuff about put the white light around you or hold the crystal, and all of that is fine, but truly the only fully effective psychic self-defense is to, as fully as possible, and this is never 100% possible, but as fully as possible to inhabit yourself. And inhabiting yourself may not always feel good. You may have anger you need to release. You may have tears you need to cry. you may have fears you need to shake out. But when you fully inhabit yourself as much as possible, then the only thing you connect to is what is helpful for you. And there is so much research. I mean, for example, there's research on prediction that people off the street can predict a computer image that a computer will generate in the future. And how do we know they predict it? Because we can now measure what the brain does. So we can see to a terrifying image, even if the person is looking at nothing, their brain registers terror. To a loving image, their brain registers connection. So what we do know now is you can feel people's feelings, you can hear people's thoughts and dialogue with them. Think of all those conversations. You can experience to some degree the future, but the only thing that matters, the only true power you have is in this moment. So as much as you can inhabit this probably somewhat chaotic moment, the more you can channel that into creating your next moment. And that is the idea, to reframe, redescribe the past in a way that serves you to be powerful now, and to be powerful now in a way that allows you, as you were talking about before with the full moon, allows you to let go of what you need to let go of, to embrace new things you need to embrace. So this next moment is something that you choose, you create, and you share with whom you choose.
Yeah. And a bit of a random question, Laura, but what do you think about watching the news during times like this when, everybody's getting horrible messages 24/7 about the coronavirus and about the political situation in the USA and, the endless, waiting for the results and all that? Do you think people should switch off the TV, or is that not necessary?
I think different strokes for different folks. I wrote a book called Welcome to Your Crisis, and there's 4 crisis types. And I think a denial type, like my husband, can watch the news and it just doesn't shake him up. An anxiety type, like myself, definitely cannot. A rage or depression type, probably the only people who should be watching the news are denial types. But it depends on your own filter. And I think it's really important for all of us to use this time to say, not am I right or wrong, not am I good or bad, but what is useful uniquely to me right now. So, for example, during this time, I have begun having dessert, which I don't even really like sweets, but it felt useful to me. And I'm actually, for some reason, because I guess I'm more sedentary, waking up with more energy because I have, more glucose available at night and I'm sleeping better. So I'm respecting my body, even though it goes against everything that, I prescribe pecan pie for myself. And I don't even like sweets very much. I'd much rather have, a turkey leg. But it's really important to listen to your own wisdom. One of the things that I've been doing on Instagram at Laura Day Intuit is asking people, even people who are kind of a little outside my belief system, to come on and to share a method, to share a transition, to share with my readers and my viewers, because we all have different receptors, not all of us are on the same frequency, and it's important to find something that speaks to you. And how do you know it speaks to you? It helps you function. It helps you feel better. It makes your immunity stronger. It helps you navigate your relationship. It helps you be creative in ways that, create pleasure and wealth, because you function better. And, we get stuck in the whole spirituality thing. But the reality is we are physical beings in a physical world. And our task is to succeed at being a physical being in a physical world, to earn enough, to have enough love, to have enough comfort, to have enough health. And then once we do, to share that in ways that are empowering to ourselves and others. And it's just so chanting thing on my Instagram the other day, and it really helped me. I felt, when it was done, I felt really organized. I was able to get up and do some things that I hadn't been able to do before. That's how I knew it was good for me. There's some other practices that actually, too much predictive intuition for me actually gets me anxious. It doesn't help me to function. So whether it's right or wrong doesn't matter. What matters is it's not helpful. But that's unique. So I'm really trying, and I'm going to do this again over the holidays. I'm asking all of the ethical skilled practitioners I know to come on and do 10-minute experiences on Instagram, because everyone needs something different. And yet, when we each get what we need, but we join it together in what I call a healing hive, all of a sudden we have that immense power of many, of community, to be able to carry us as we easily carry others. Because your burdens are the hardest burdens. Your burdens are the ones where you're just so tired you can barely carry them anymore. But my burdens aren't so hard for many of you, and vice versa. So we need to learn to work in community, but first by addressing our individuality. Like, I don't meditate. If I sit and meditate, it just makes me crazy, and it doesn't help me function. I find that movement helps me function, that chanting helps me function, that singing helps me function, that if I can eke a good cry out, that helps me function. Friends help me function. Advice, not so much. Usually feeds my anxiety. But what is your cocktail? And maybe write it down. Head a page with what is my cocktail, and review it every once in a while. And look at what is working to have you function better. That's your cocktail. And that cocktail will change, because guess what? You are not the same person you were when Yasmin and I began speaking.
Oh, I do love you, Laura Day. Listen, we've got a couple of people on the line. Are you able to hang around for a bit? We'll take a couple of questions.
Love to.
Okay, I'm speaking to Laura Day. Let me just give you her website address while we're at it as well. It's very simple, lauraday.com. And she's all over Instagram as Laura Day Intuit. And she's going to be doing a boot camp quite soon as well. Someone here saying, Danielle on Facebook is saying, same with me, Laura, meditation doesn't work for me. And I'm also a psychic. So I wonder why that is. I don't know. Somebody said to me meditation's very masculine. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it does sort of, it does resonate with me a little bit.
I think that most intuitives, most people who are especially childhood intuitives have ADHD. And the problem is that focus becomes hyper-focus, and you're still able to travel too much with your attention, because you don't have that frontal executive function. So for most, especially childhood psychics, not the ones, like I train people who train as adults, and they have normal brains. But people who don't have normal brains and who do have ADHD, like most psychics do, meditation is often not good, and actually research has shown that with ADHD it can often be detrimental. What is helpful with ADHD is often physical or mechanical tasks, and things. For example, chanting for me, it's not the chanting, it's not the attentional thing, it's the vibration of the chanting, and then the meeting of the voices that for me does it. So yes, you have to find your thing, and it's very hard because everyone's trying to shove green juice down our throat.
Yeah.
Green juice, makes me a little loose. Not good for me. You've got to find your own power potion.
Yeah, I love that. Your cocktail as well. Somebody on Facebook was saying, I love that. I love that too. Let's take a call, Laura. Let's go to line 1 where we have Phyllis. You're going to be speaking to lots of your fellow Americans because they're nearly all calling you from the States. Are you there, Phyllis?
Hi, Phyllis.
Can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Phyllis. I can hear you.
Yes. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. I would say I'm treading water.
Yeah, my gut when I heard your name was that you're coming out of a time of betrayal into a time of really being forced to own your own power without sharing it. And that's a very hard thing for you to do. But I think that if you can use this full moon here, use this moment to write down what your personal goals are that have nothing to do with anyone else, and to really, keep that piece of paper with you, maybe even laminate it, and work just for you, I think you'll find that synchronistically help comes in. Because I do think actually, even though it doesn't feel like it, you've turned a corner. And I think that there is one thing that's coming up for you in the next, 8 or 9, 10 days that you know about already that is weighing on you and that may get solved in a way you didn't think about it. I think you get very hyper-focused. And if you just take a breath and let the energy go a little, hand it over. I always tell my students, join with the energy, because we're not alone. So join with that energy, and just say, screw this. It's got to have a solution, but I don't have it. And hand it over. And with that openness, of course, you're taking on other people's things that are easy for you to solve. Because I think that there's some help available, and it's funny because it doesn't feel like friendship help. It feels like help that, I don't know. When you realize you haven't filed for a tax credit that you could have, or you have, feels like that kind of thing that's structural, that may pop up if you can just let go a little. I think you should do something, active and noisy for a few minutes that just gets you tired. So that's my sense. Did you have a question, by the way?
It was along those lines as well. It's almost like you hit the nail on the
My
head.
day job.
That's Laura Day, guys. Listen, we've actually only got 10 seconds. We're going to the break. You guys can keep talking for a couple of seconds, but we'll be back after the break.
Here.
Okay. All right, thank you.
No, you're so welcome. Hey, are you still on, Phyllis?
She's on hold now.
Oh, can you put her on so she can say goodbye to Laura?
Oh, sure.
Thanks, Louie.
Okay, there you go.
Phyllis? Hi, it's
Yeah.
Laura Day. I just want
Okay,
you to
great.
hear, of everything I said, I want you to hear one thing, which is I understand that there's some deadlines coming up, that things feel urgent, but I think you're missing some solutions, and I really think you've turned the corner from the worst. And I think that you need to, whenever you find yourself going over in your head the kind of things that have let you down the last couple months, you need to reorient your thoughts, because that's a lot of what's getting you down, because you're very effective when you're not encumbered like that. And I really feel, it's funny, come spring, there's so much love in your life. Okay, I've got to go now, but I'm sending you healing,
great.
and I really remember you've turned the corner. You just don't realize it yet.
Okay, great. I appreciate it. It was great hearing that.
Okay, be well.
Thanks,
All right.
Phyllis.
You too. Thank you, Yasmin.
So, Laura, we've got a few minutes. We've got about 3 minutes if you want to just take a breath. I'm still on Facebook. Oh, Pitty's on the line. Hi, Pitty. Where are you? I don't see you listed. Don't see you, darling. Okay, so Sally is asking for the number. The number to call is 816-251-3555. 816-251-3555. So my amazing guest today is the awesome Laura Day, who you just heard talking to Phyllis. And Laura and I met on my old radio show, actually, on Hay House Radio. And Yeah, no, she's an amazing, amazing person. And one thing that I've realised, knowing Laura, is that I think in the future, this will be a regular job doing what Laura does. And she does it for businesses as well. So she'll go into Fortune 500 companies and give them an hour of her time a month to tell them what's happening with the market. And they pay her a lot of money. And I think that in the future, maybe some of the people, that she's training now, I think in the future we're going to find more and more people doing this, and being a psychic or an intuitive is going to become as normal as being a teacher or a doctor or whatever. So, you know, if you have those skills, just, you know, keep working on them. I'm going to ask Laura in a second, when we go back, I'm just going to ask her to tell the story of how she got into this, because she was not like me. She was not some kind of woo-woo person. Like I got onto all of this because I started meditating, because I went on a spiritual journey and I started to meditate and I, you know, all that kind of stuff. And that's not the case for Laura. Hang on a second. Olivier? Ollie B? Darling, my phone's not charging and it's saying it's running low on battery, and we've got about 1 minute till we're back on air. It should actually be back on air. I don't know why I'm not hearing them. Hello? Okay, thanks, darling. Is it charging?
3555. That's 816-251-3555.
Hey, everybody. Oh.
Find out what's happening in the skies. Welcome back to Astrology with Yasmin.
Hey everybody, we are back. I can see my friend Jane Purchell is watching me on Facebook. Jane, you have to stick around for this. I'm talking to this amazing person called Laura Day, who I hope one day you might meet. Everybody, yes, I have Laura Day on the line. Now, Laura is a very, very magical woman. She's an intuitive, and she works with all sorts of amazing people, including people like, as I mentioned before, Brad Pitt, which got a bit of a reaction on Facebook, everyone saying how much they love Brad Pitt. But Laura did not get into being an intuitive that's paid thousands and thousands of dollars by people on, you know, the Wall Street types, because she was cosmic. In fact, if anything but, is that right, Laura? How did you become an intuitive? Tell us the story.
Well, that was so intuitive of you, because I just wrote a post for my followers on Instagram saying, listen, I know you guys know me as kind of a hardcore science-based, evidence-based intuitive, but I want to introduce you to these other practices because they might be useful. So when I was 20, I was watching a TV show, and I had been a math and science nerd. I went to a school called Stuyvesant in New York City. That's all the math and science nerds. You test into it. It's all math and science. Nobody knows how to read in school. And I went to this school, and I started university, and I was really bored. So I'm 20 years old, and I watch all these science channels. And on one of the channels, there was a show about the extended capacities of the human mind and remote viewing and telepathy. And I thought, but this was all done at the university level and the military level. And I thought, oh, well, doesn't everyone do these things? I mean, I never realized that everyone didn't experience these psychic events in a verifiable way. So I called up the head professor in this study, and I said, I can do what you're talking about. And so I went in, they put me through some tests, and I agreed to be a test subject only if they would keep me anonymous, which of course a promise they broke. They televised something, and I had this instant following, and I didn't even have a name for what it was I did. I mean, I had no kind of esoteric beliefs. And so once it was televised, I decided really that companies were, because I was a little worried, am I a crazy person? I thought, well, companies, I'm either right or wrong. I mean, they're putting money on this. So I started working a lot in medicine, in business, in politics, and predicting in a very kind of straight-laced way. I've gotten, more interested in other things as I've gotten older. But what I do is I train intuitives for the mainstream, and I train them in a way that they are adequately compensated, because I think paraprofessionals, which we still are not properly compensated. And it does, when a company hires you, you're being paid to be right, and that takes training and focus and energy and time. So that's what boot camp is. I'm training people to do this for the mainstream. Now, I am 61 years old. I'm talking about when I was 20. So now, in many ways, this is the mainstream. My trainees, get paid $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month for an hour of their time, because they're being paid to be right. And that's a lot of pressure, too. I also train people to use it for themselves, and I do a lot of free training, because it's really helpful for people to just use it in community, to swap readings, to swap healings, to guide each other. As Ram Dass says in one of my favorite quotes, we're just all walking each other home.
Yeah, true. Shall we take another call, Laura?
Sure. I'd love questions about intuition. As you know, I fall into reading so easily, but I think it's more interesting for people if there are questions about intuition that they can use. And before we sign off, I really want to give people 3 things they can do right now to anchor their intuition in helping their lives. Because, by the way, intuition can mess you up, too. You can hear a lot of noise. You can feel a lot of toxic things that don't belong to you. You can go into someone else's future that's not really helpful for you. It's really important to learn not just to develop these skills and direct them in ways that enhance your earth reality, but also to filter these skills. You don't need to be more intuitive. You're already intuitive. What you need to do is learn to implement a filter that makes it useful for you.
Right. Okay. Well, I can highly recommend Laura's book, How to Rule the World from Your Couch. I have proof that book works, which I'll just quickly tell you. In one of the first couple of chapters, Laura actually asks you to tune into her. And I tuned into Laura. I'd never met her. I'd only spoken to her on the show, a bit like I'm doing right now. And I tuned into her, and I saw a picture, and I actually saw her. I saw her having a meal, and I wrote to her and I said, "Is that right? Does this sound right? Is this the kind of thing, blah, blah, blah." And she said, yes, that all sounds good. But it wasn't really that easy to verify. Fast forward 2 months later, I actually went to New York to hold a workshop that Laura had basically set up for me. And I walked into her home, into her apartment in New York. And lo and behold, exactly as I had seen when I imagined her, I'd completely forgotten about it, but that's exactly what I saw. And anyone who's not in America will understand this a bit better. But Laura had, or has, I think you Americans call it a coffee bar, where it's like a table that's a bit extra high, like it's more than waist height, and it's got a coffee machine and cups and sugar. Laura had that in her apartment, and that is exactly what I had seen. And in England and in Australia, we don't have those. So it was really weird for me to have seen her at this high table. So anyway, I can verify it. Let's take a call, and then we'll talk about the 3 things, the 3 bits of information you want to give people, okay? Let's go to Joanne on, let me see what number line they've put her on. Joanne, oh, there we are. She's not on a line, but she is there. I don't know. Louis, can you take Joanne now that I've said her name?
Yeah, she's on.
Joanne?
Joanne?
Hi, hello, welcome to the show. You're speaking to Yasmin and Boland and Laura Day.
Thank you. I'm so happy you're taking my call.
What would you like to know today?
I guess I'm trying to figure out what I should be doing. I actually retired a couple of years ago, and I was in something is actually engineer for the military, and it didn't really match me, but I did it to the end. And so the past couple of years, I've been trying to tap more into my spiritual side and try to figure out what I should be doing, how I should serve.
Okay.
And so I've done a lot of healing in these past 2 years. I think I had a lot of stuff, and I was like a survivor, and now I don't feel like a survivor. So I think I really made progress, but I'm still trying to figure out and be more in tune or listen more, be more receptive of my intuition.
It's that people try to figure out, whereas if you are just really present in your life, the solutions come, and really that's the way intuition works. Is you set a goal and then you live, and you live in a way that allows you to integrate things that come in from left field. I think it would be I always see people throwing out babies with the bathwater. I think it would be really interesting to use your engineering background spiritually. And, by the way, I have a problem with the word spirit because, a good bowel movement is a spiritual event. We come from our spirit, we go to spirit. We can't not be spiritual, but what we do have to be is more connected to that energy source, and then be able to channel it through our ego in a more effective way for life. And I have a feeling I have a feeling that there's a lot of, I hate to sound like a psychic here, but there are a lot of dead people around you. There's a lot of loss around you that's kind of historic, familial, and I think that making a kind of a blueprint now for just day by day, how you're going to try to integrate this today, and using those engineering skills, and also using that on your CV, advertising yourself that way would be really helpful. I could see you. It's funny. You could take your engineering practice and go into situations and rearrange the parts so they function. And I actually think that is your human gift, is that you're able to see what's wrong with the situation. Often you kind of pull back. So you're going to have to learn to find a way that you're comfortable saying, gee, company or group of people, gee, this is what I'm seeing as a difficulty. I can help you solve this. I actually think you should go back into a structured world. I think, although it's been a really healing time, although a difficult time, this doesn't feel like it's been an idyllic 2 years of spiritual discovery, but although it's been a healing time, I think it's really time to re-enter the mainstream in a powerful way, also because I think there's a certain loneliness that at the time you started this spiritual journey felt safe and no longer is useful to you. I think it's really time to connect. So I would see how you can integrate this with what you've done in the past, even if it's just including it. I, as an engineer, blah, 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 I see what doesn't work. I'm able to implement new strategies, and I'm not talking about just intuitively, in design, in human design, in et cetera, et cetera. I think, people are so hesitant to say, okay, no one's ever done this before. Everyone wants to be a Reiki practitioner. Make up your own healing art. Use your background, use your inspiration, use what intuition gives uniquely through your lens of ego. And ego is a wonderful thing. Ego is the machine that allows us to take the energy we all share, put it through our unique filter of being, and create in the physical world something that often we all can share and can improve humanity. I mean, I think that people forget that the way they best serve is to be best served, is to use their talents in a way that allows them to have the strongest, best life, body, relationship, finances, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think you're ready to do that. I think you're ready to re-enter life. And I think that you should mix the kind of what is known as the spiritual with the structural, and think, ooh, how could I market this? How could I apply this? Because I think it's important for you to be like back in the solid world in a major way. So that's my 2 cents on this.
What do you
Hello?
Okay, hello. Yeah, thank you. Yes,
You can always get other readings. On my Instagram, on Laura Day Intuit, I have a lot of people I'm training, and a lot of people have just done the books and do readings. So if you post a question, we'll give you their intuition as well. But I think you've gotten a little confused in the journey. Yeah, and I think your journey's been very healing, but you've gotten a little confused by the division between the spiritual and the practical. Spirituality should be practical. For as long as you have a body in the physical world, your spirituality should help you do that better. And I think you do serve. I think you're a kind person. I think you're not serving as much lately because you're isolated, not just because of COVID, but I think this has been an isolating couple of years. I think you need to reach out, join groups, offer what you have to offer, and create a business plan for yourself. You know, engineer this life in a very practical way that forces you not to just wear sneakers.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank you, Joanne. You're very welcome. Okay, amazing. Thank you, Laura. So, Laura, tell us the 3 things we can do to ground our intuition. And just if you've just tuned in, I'm talking to Laura Day of lauraday.com and Laura Day Intuit on Instagram. Laura's going to give us 3 ways to ground our intuition. She's one of the most... I've been working in this field for I don't know how many years, 20 years at least now, and I've come across many, many people who are psychic, and I can tell you no one has knocked my socks off the way Laura Day did. So do tell us, Laura, how do we ground our intuition?
So you're all intuitive all of the time. It's just you have so much. It's like finding a pair of the 2 of the same shoes in my shoe closet. It's just a mess in there, and it's supposed to be a mess. That's what the subconscious is all about. So the first thing you need to do, and this is all in the circle, which is my 4th book, but 3 things. First thing, have a single goal. What is your goal right now? It doesn't have to seem possible or plausible, but what is your goal? And then notice, really document, take it out of your messy self, write down your goal, and document the people you suddenly hear from as you focus on that goal. And by focus, I don't mean narrow focus where you concentrate. I mean experience. Oh, what would this goal feel like? What would it taste, smell, sound like? Where would I be? You know, allow your goal to become part of your life. And what you'll notice is all of a sudden, intuition will not just attract to you things that help you along the road to that goal, but it'll take the blinders off to the things that are getting in the way of that goal. The other thing is sleep work. Before you go to sleep, take a moment to suspend the illusion of separateness, because we are all connected, and science is giving us a lot of evidence of that now. Science is the new religion. Suspend your illusion of separateness and write down one thing that you want to do in community with other people who are asleep and joining. One thing you want help with. I want to make up with an old friend. I want to find a new job. I want to feel better. I want to begin to lose weight. I want to begin to get whatever it is. Write it down and do that for a couple weeks. Stick until you have a result. We all think we should click our heels 3 times and we're in Kansas. Doesn't work that way. Repetition, discipline, repetition, discipline. So engage in sleep work. And the third thing is work in actual intuitive communities, because you have a hard time seeing, metaphorically, your own intuitive information, because we're all held together by our habits and patterns. However, they also block out what we don't habitually see, what we're not trained to see. Whereas when someone else looks at you intuitively or even intellectually, they can see things that you missed. Now, I'm not saying swallow those things whole. Always be a skeptic. Take in 10%. If it works, take in 12%. If it still works, take in 15%. Go slow. But use other people, and not always experts. You don't have to pay everybody to do something. communities, there are lots of online rituals, there's lots of online intuitive communities like mine at Laura at Instagram at Laura Day Intuit. Get other input, and then if it feels safe, try it out. And nothing different ever feels 100% safe. So those are my 3 suggestions. Have a target or a goal, and one that you stick to till you get it. Doesn't mean you're giving up on everything else. You're just making that be the front runner, and fold everything in. Something difficult happens, fold it in. How is this guiding me with that goal? Do sleep work. So write down what you want to achieve in your sleep. Connect with other people who are not constrained by bodies, who are free because they're sleeping, and ask for help. And connect with intuitive communities and communities of all kinds, because they will see what your habitual blinders don't, and you'll get the information you need. So those are my 3 tips.
Okay, so
verify. Make it evidence-based. If someone predicts something, if someone says something, write it down. See if they're right or wrong. Check it out. Don't be belief-based. Intuition's not about belief. It is about evidence. So get evidence for your intuition. If there is no evidence, then it's either precognitive, hasn't taken place yet, or it's simply wrong.
Right. So, Laura, how much do you feel that we are, how far into the future can we look? How much are we creating our reality as we go along?
I do this very fun thing. Of course, as a psychic, I read other psychics all day. We all tap into each other. Because just like all of you, we have our blind spots. We need other people to see past our blind spots. And I do this really interesting thing where I'll give someone a reading, and someone will give me a reading, and then I'll make the necessary changes. And then a few days later, I'll get another reading from someone else on the same topic, and lo and behold, the future will have changed. You are creating your future now. The fact that we can predict a lot of the future with a big degree of accuracy is because people feel very disempowered in making change. A quarter degree of climate change makes incredible
cataclysmic.
Cataclysmic. You can make a little change, and it can ripple through and change your entire life. So bite off a little piece and commit to creating your own future. And the way we know intuition works, even though the future changes individually, is that global things rarely change. So one of the things I have when I'm training intuitives is I have them predict big global events like the election, big global things that actually one person or even 20 people can't change. And I really suggest, and if this isn't my first book, Practical Intuition, that you pick something to predict every day, not to be right about it, but to train yourself to predict things like the stock market that you personally don't have an effect on. Because that's when you see the power of your own ability to predict the future. But remember, in your personal future, your power is in this moment, your ability to take in new information, do things a different way, change old patterns, which is all what my book, The Circle, is about, and create your future. Do not let your future be dictated to you. I have 2 siblings who killed themselves, a mother who killed themselves. My future was in a cemetery. That hasn't been my future. I'm in love. I have a wonderful son, a wonderful career. I'm 61. I'm healthy. I've got most of my teeth. You create your future. Doesn't mean it's easy. Nothing in life worth doing is easy, except maybe falling in love, and then all the work comes afterwards.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Giving birth is a bloody process, but commit to it. Give birth. Find what your epidural is. Find what your tranquilizer is. Started this whole thing about Panadol. Find what makes the pain better, that's safe, and make sure you do it. That you don't get extra brownie points, by the way, for suffering. Avoid suffering in healthy ways and suffer only as much as you have to and as quickly as you can to get to the next part of your journey.
Okay, beautiful. beautiful. So I'm going to ask you about your boot camp in a second, but I just want to say, because I don't know if we're going to get a chance. There are lots of people waiting on the line, and I want to say to Moira, I hope you can hear me, Moira. I'm not going to be able to talk, but I drew you a card. I just felt like you really needed a bit of help. And you got a card, you got the Take Time to Breathe Out card that says you should know where you stand either now or very soon. You need to take some time out for your own good. Okay, Moira, I just did that for you because I just felt like I wanted to do it. So, Laura, tell us about your boot camp, because I'm even thinking I would like to do it. Tell us what's happening in it. How does it work, and how do we find out about it?
So, boot camp is a rigorous training. It's basically a couple days on Zoom to train yourself to be professional intuitives, to use it in your business, in your life, in your community, and to create a group of intuitives who will continue to train you after boot camp is over as you train them. Everything's on my website at lauraday.com. What I'm doing now, because I don't see private clients, I've worked for the same companies for almost 30 years, and that is all the private work I do. I do read on my Instagram live. I do, people reach out to me. I read the public for free. I've priced myself out of a normal market, but I always, I'm always reading. As Yasmin will tell you, whether you want one or not, you get a reading.
It's so true.
But I do that. But what I really love is showing people, wow, with some training, you can read each other. You can read your companies. You have a skill that you can market, and having that community of other intuitives, it's only 50 people in a group, never more. Having that community of other intuitives to support you is really helpful. And of course, they're all different kinds of people. They're doctors, financial managers, people who are, artists, therapists, and people in between things. I forget, someone had a great name for it, multidimensional personality.
Okay. Laura, we're about to run out of time. So I just want to say to Laura, thank you so much for coming on the show. lauraday.com for all her work. And I think if you're going to start with the book, what should we say? Start with the circle? You've got 5 seconds.
Yes, I would start with the circle, but if you want intuitive training, start with practical intuition.
Practical intuition.
In the UK, it's on audio, so it's easier to download.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. We love you.
Thank you.
Great show.
Thank you so much, Louie. Have a lovely week.
All right, you as well.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Isn't she amazing? Hello. I met Laura about 2 years ago, and I have not stopped being amazed by her. So I wanted to get her on the show so you could all be introduced to her. Basically, her message is we are all intuitive, and she's so down to earth and so non-woo-woo, so feet on the ground. It's a really, really wonderful experience to see how she works with intuition and see how we can all tap into our intuition. It's honestly quite astounding, and I think these are the right times. Nothing to do with coronavirus. Actually, a lot to do with Neptune, things that have been going on with Neptune. These are the times for us all to be learning to use our intuition. So that's it for this week, and I will see you back here next week. Every Monday I do the show. I do it on the radio and I do it on Facebook Live. Oh, thank you for all the stars, Alicia. Yes, I mean, Laura's amazing. If I could have her on every week, I would. Thanks, Carrie. Lots of love, everybody. See you later.